So you want to play Lilo and Stitch in Dungeons & Dragons. Well, Stitch anyways. I mean, you could play Lilo, but she's just a tiny human that either worships a fish that can control the weather, or is a fiend warlock who is empowered by an evil alien scientist named Jumba. Unless Jumba is a warlock to Pudge, and Pudge is forcing Jumba to give Lilo a pack fiend, which would make them both warlocks? Did I mention that he can control the weather? I think that's kind of important, but let's talk about Stitch. Sorry. Let's talk about Skittermanders. Skittermanders are Pathfinder's 6-armed space furballs. You might want to think of them like, oh nice, space goblins, but no, those also exist. These are parasites. Giant space parasites. Yes sirree, these adorable fun-loving copyright distinct Stitch clones start out life with a peripheral set of chompers. If you don't know what that means, it means they got teeth on their tum-tums.
Whoa, Rugby, we can't show that. Yeah, blur it out. Oh, that somehow made it worse.
And they use said teeth to adhere themselves to large creatures to derive nutrients from them until the time when they are big enough to fend for themselves in space.
Hell, if you can convince the barbarian to give you a piggyback ride, you got a great team comp going right there.
Then again, if you do take the Everwhelp heritage, you keep the extra set of chompers and it gives you access to a bite attack that does a d6 damage. You do, however, have to bite them with your belly button, which is kind of great if you take the clinging bite feature at level 1. And I quote, "You have excellent control over your stomach mouth." Not something I would ever think to have to say to the internet. Your jaw's unarmed attack gain the grapple trait. You have the grab ability, but you can only use it following a successful critical hit with your jaws. Oh, and did I forget to mention that these little are poisonous? Venomous. Which one's the kinky one? They bite you and you die. Venomous. Yeah, okay. At level 9, you can make your tummy bites secrete numbing saliva, which makes them clumsy and suppressed, which is kind of rude on top of biting them without permission. Maybe don't do that. But if the biting thing doesn't do it for you, they do also have 6 arms and 2 legs, so that's kind of neat. And that somehow gives you a climb speed, but I mean, spiders have 8 limbs and can climb really well, but having 6 limbs and feet, I feel like the feet are just going to be dangling. Or you're going to start tripping over your own hands. Skittermanders are small, quick, pent-up balls of energy. Their ability boosts are dexterity and charisma, and a bonus stat of your choice, while the drawback flaw is of taking a negative to wisdom. They are hyper and quick, but not very perceptive. Honestly, I feel like someone took the stereotypical 10-year-old who only drinks Mountain Dew and made them a space koala. Let me show you what I'm talking about. At level 1, Skittermanders can take a feat called Fixation. You're fascinated by a specific topic, something like in-game religions or in-game rock bands. Maybe you're obsessed with spaghettification. These are all real things that are suggested by the book. You basically take an additional lore feat and you get assurance feat on top of that chosen lore, so you always roll well with it. Or, optionally, you can take Hugmaster at level 1. Born from the belief that a good solid hug can make anything better, you gain access to the Titan Wrestler feat, which allows you to grapple things 2 size categories bigger than yourself, which would mean you can basically pick up a horse. A space horse. Like, I guess that's a Galoma? I don't know. Hugmaster giving you the Titan Wrestler feat seems like they're kind of omitting the fact that allows you to lift insanely large creatures. That also brings to life that Lilo is in way more danger in the movie than the movie leads us to believe. Like, he deadlifts a VW at one point in time. Actually, wait, hold on. It was like 2,000 pounds. Okay, that might be normal for most Pathfinder characters. Please don't ask me to explain how Galarian physics works, right? It's a mess. But if you do want to go the hug route build, at 13, whenever someone critically fails against you, you can use your action to make them feel better about it, which is nice, and then immediately suplex them on the next turn. All I'm saying is if you're going to fight a Skittermander, don't be near any airlocks. You will be outside. Alternatively, you could take Hyper. I suppose since we're in space, it doesn't have to be Mountain Dew. It could be something like energy drinks. But long story short, you get an additional 5 feet of movement at the beginning of your turn, which sounds kind of mediocre, but you are getting the Fleet feat as a heritage feat, which is kind of neat. Then at level 9, you get Zoomies, which allows you to unleash your energies, gives you an additional move action for 3 rounds once per day. And then at 17, you can use it once per hour, because who hasn't want to see how many Red Bulls you can drink before your heart explodes? Finally, let's talk about the arms, because unlike the lame Thri-Kreen and Centaurs who only have 6 limbs, Skittermander have 6 arms. Not limbs, arms. And I think they handle that pretty well. You can hold up to 6 one-handed items or 3 two-handed items or any combination of the two as long as the numbers equal 6. Does that count as a fraction or are we using some kind of like parallel addition? I know, it's Pathfinder. Numbers are scary. But you have to use an action to switch between them, which to me seems a little off. I don't see what the benefit of having 6 arms is when you can only switch between them as fast as you could draw and sheath another weapon normally. I assume this is Paizo's attempt to try to keep the 6 arms from breaking the game, but in my experience, letting people just switch weapons during a move action, it hasn't seemed to cause any problems in the past. But in play, I don't really see the downside to letting people just switch between hands as a free action. You're still bound by the action economy, so you don't get 6 attacks in a single turn. At level 5, you can take Helping Hand, which allows you to use your offhand to give other players aid as a free action, which I think feels really more in the spirit of having 6 arms. Double Draw lets you basically swap out items in multiple hands in a single action, which once again is more in line with what I would be thinking normally. And then at level 9, you can as a free action actively use 4 of your arms instead of 2, which you wouldn't need if you could just actively use all your arms at one time like a normal person. Okay, I'm fine. I don't understand the fear and apprehension around having multiple limbs or having wings on characters. Yes, it can be game breaking, but a lot of the times that's either from lazy DMing or from other effects that would require a feat tree anyways. At level 17, you get a feature called All 6, which allows you to use your free hands to use all of your limbs in a single attack or skill check and then multiply the effect by 3, which is amazing. That's the kind of thing that you should be focusing on with a creature for 6 arms. Free flurry of blows, using multiple limbs for more power. There's so much love for creatures with multiple arms out there, maybe I should phrase that differently, that these kind of unique features are what need to be added to the game. Flurry of blows doesn't let you attack with every weapon you have, it just gives you one additional attack and it still applies your attack penalty to it. You could even go one step further into using the monster feats to get something like multi-attacks. You can attack once with each limb, but that may be excessive. In older editions, you could make free additional attacks if you had light off-handed weapons, but at a penalty. Okay, I want to make 6 attacks with my daggers. Great. First one is normal, then you're taking a -5, then a -10, then a -15. Don't be afraid to let your players be a little overpowered if it means they get to play something unique and interesting. But if they only ever play Skittermanders because they are too powerful, then maybe you need to change something at your table. Now get out there, latch yourself onto the back of the barbarian, and preach the good word of Pudge, the weatherfish, devourer of soggy sandwiches, who would probably actually enjoy a tuna fish sandwich. Just saying. Fish are not picky. Thanks for watching, everybody. Wait, why do you have 6 shields? I'll be an impervious shield wall. Yeah, all right. I mean, I guess I'll give you and anyone behind you full cover since you aren't using a weapon. I really thought you were going to do something like 6 lightsabers like General Grievous. Oh, that would have been way cooler. Yeah, I mean, if you just had a tower shield, you could have had the same effect. Oh. What's a tower shield?